Hi, this is Mrs. Clark, and welcome to my video on writing an equation of a line given 2 points. So first we're going to start out with just reminding ourselves. It says write the slope-intercept form of the equation. So remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And in order to do that, we're going to be writing the equation of the line that goes through given points. So 2 points that were given are going to be in the form of x1, y1, and x2, y2. So we're going to be given 2 points, and we're going to have to write this slope-intercept form. Okay, so in order to write our slope-intercept form, we need 2 things. We need 1, slope, and we need 2, the y-intercept. So in order to find the slope, we're going to need to use our slope formula. Since we're not given the slope, we're given 2 points. We're going to use our slope formula, which is, I'm going to remind you of that up here, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so let's start the first example here. So we're going to be going through the points 2, -3, and 4, 3. So in order to do that, we're going to first label these x1 and y1, x2 and y2. And the first thing we're going to need is our slope, so we're going to start by calculating our slope. Using that formula that we wrote at the top, m is going to equal y2, which is 3, minus y1, which is -3. So we're going to get 3 minus -3. In the denominator, we're going to do x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is 2. So in the numerator, because I'm doing 3 minus -3, those are actually going to cancel each other out and become positive. So it's 3 plus 3, which is 6. In the denominator, it's 4 minus 2, which is 2. So our slope is 6 over 2, or if I reduce that, it's 3 over 1, or just 3. So first thing we did is find our slope. Second thing we need to do is find our y-intercept, which is our b value. So we've practiced doing that before. The way we're going to do that is we're going to pick one of these 2 points, and we're going to use this slope, and we're going to plug them into y equals mx plus b. And then we're going to solve for the b. So to do that, I'm going to pick the second point just because they're both positive numbers, so I think it might be a little easier to work with, but I could really choose either point and I would get the same answer for b. So using the first point, I'm going to plug in my y value, which is 3, equals, and then my m value, which we just calculated, is also 3, and then my x value from that same point is 4. So I'm going to put a parentheses and then a 4, and then plus b. So we've done this before. It should look very familiar. We're going to solve this for b, so in order to do that first, we've got to multiply these 2 numbers. So 3 is going to equal 3 times 4, which is 12, plus b. Then we're going to do our inverse operations. We're going to subtract 12 from both sides. 3 minus 12 is going to be -9, and that's going to be equal to, that will cancel out, that will be equal to b. So we have our m up here, which was 3. We have our b down here, which is -9. And our last step is going to be to take this b, which is -9, and this m, which is 3, and plug it back into the y equals mx plus b equation, and write our final equation. So our final equation is going to be y equals 3 for m, x plus b, which is -9, so I'm actually going to put a -9 here. And there is our equation of the line that will pass through these 2 points. Okay, let's do the second example here. So again, we're going to label our points x1 and y1, x2 and y2, and we're going to start off by calculating the slope. So we want the slope between the point 2, 3 and 4, -4. So in order to do that, we're going to do y2, which is -4, minus y1, which is 3, and then x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is 2, and that's going to equal -4 minus 3, which is -7, over 4 minus 2, which is 2. So in this case, our slope turns out to be a fraction. Our m is equal to -7/2. 2 goes into 2, but 2 does not go into 7, so this can't be reduced anymore. So that's just, we're going to work with that fraction as our slope. So let's pick a point in order to substitute in. We're going to substitute into y equals mx plus b. We're going to pick one of these points. I'm going to go with the first one this time just because it's two positive numbers. You could really do either one. So for my y, I'm going to substitute in a 3. For my m, it's going to get this fraction, negative 7 halves. For my x, it's going to get a 2, and then plus b. So to solve for b, to get my y-intercept, I'm going to have to multiply these two fractions together. So let's remember how to do that. Negative 7 over 2 times 2 over 1. We're going to multiply straight across. Negative 7 times 2 is negative 14. 2 times 1 is going to equal 2. Negative 14 divided by 2 is going to equal negative 7. So it cancels out our fraction when I do this multiplication. And I end up with 3 equals, when I multiply these two together, we got negative 7. So it's going to be negative 7 plus b. We're going to do our inverse. We're going to add 7 to both sides. We're going to get 10 equals b. We're going to take that b and this m up here and write our equation, y equals mx plus b. Y is going to equal m, which is negative 7 halves, times x, plus our b, which was 10, so plus 10. And there's our final answer. Y equals negative 7 halves, x plus 10. One more to go. Moving on to our last problem. M is going to equal, let's label our x1 and y1, our x2 and y2. M is going to equal negative 2 minus negative 4 over negative 2 minus 0. Negative 2 minus negative 4 is going to turn into plus 4. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2. Negative 2 minus 0 is negative 2. And I have a 2 divided by a negative 2. It's going to equal negative 1. So my m is equal to negative 1. Now to find my y-intercept, I'm going to choose this first one. Has a 0 in it. Might make it a little bit easier here. Y equals mx plus b. I'm going to substitute my y in for negative 4 equals m, which was negative 1, times my x, which is 0, plus b. So I'm going to do negative 4 equals, then I'm going to multiply these. Negative 1 times 0 is 0, plus b. This is going to make this very simple. I don't actually have to get rid of this 0 because there's nothing to do with it. B plus 0 is just b, so negative 4 equals b. So my b value is negative 4, my m value is negative 1. When I go to write my final equation, I'm going to substitute in my slope. My m is going to be negative 1x, and then my b is a negative 4, so I'm going to put minus 4. I could also write my equation, y equals negative x minus 4, and not write that 1 in front of the x. And either of these, I would take this answer, but this is actually how you're going to end up seeing it on answer keys or in a problem. So I want you to recognize them both. Okay, thank you for writing down your notes. Make sure you ask questions and go ahead and get to some practice.